All right, here is Harbaugh on the catch rule that was applied in two different circumstances on Sunday. First, to take away a Ravens interception because they found that Aaron Rodgers had made a catch before he lost possession and the ball was caught by a Ravens defender. And then not long after that, when Isaiah Likely had a touchdown taken off the board after replay review swept in and said, nope. He didn't get a third foot down. It wasn't a catch. Here's Harbaugh on those plays.
Are you comfortable with the call, or do you, after watching it, do you feel there needs to be more clarification on what is a catch?
Well, that's a complicated kind of a question there. Like, am I comfortable? No. Do I think there needs more clarification? Yeah, it's about as clear as mud right now. That's how I feel about it. We had a conversation with the league office, and they were gracious enough to spend a lot of time on the phone with myself and Eric and Tony Mahalik, and we appreciate that. It didn't clear anything up. It didn't make it any easier to understand in either one of the two calls. They're very hard to understand how they get overturned, but they did, and that's where it stands.
Tony Mahalik is a longtime NFL official that the Ravens have hired to assist with matters like this, but it was an extended call, and at the end of the day, you can't reconcile Isaiah Likely's catch, ruled on the field a catch. Clear and obvious evidence to overturn it. Clear and obvious? No. And the inclination to go with 3 feet down. 3 feet down gives you a clear and obvious outcome of having the ball long enough, but you can still have the ball long enough without getting the third foot down, especially if you're extending the ball forward or warding off the opponent. Isaiah Likely was doing both things. He's extending the ball forward and he's trying to keep the defender from knocking the ball out. Right before the third step comes down, he's clearly doing that. I don't know how, I don't know under what standard of replay that would be clear and obvious to overturn the ruling on the field. And then the prior play with Aaron Rodgers, he's, as Harbaugh said, you're going to the ground. You have to maintain possession through the ground. It doesn't end. Oh, I got two hands on the ball and my knees are down. It's over. You're going to the ground. You have to maintain possession. And those two rulings, and in both situations, the ruling on the field was disregarded, and they found clear and obvious evidence to overturn them, which is the deeper issue, Devin. They're getting away from the clear and obvious standard, which is a problem. They're going rogue. The owners create the rules. The owners want replay review only when it's clear and obvious. The league office is going rogue on the replay standard, and they're overturning things when they shouldn't.
Yeah, and we get the unique opportunity. We sit next to Jason Garrett as we're watching these plays, and you can tell, like Harbaugh talked about the league being gracious enough to get on the phone. You can tell Jason Garrett has spent a lot of time on the phone with the league about, is this a catch? Is this not a catch? If you remember back to 2014, the Dez Bryant catch situation, and I'm amazed because you're the guy who has the rule book pulled up and you start reading it. And then Jason, it almost like he flashes back to being in those meetings. But I think what Harbaugh said is what I felt as a player, and what I feel now is like, we never know. I think that's the thing. Like, you watch two plays in the same game, and it would make sense to me, more sense to me, if both plays were ruled as not possession. Like, Aaron Rodgers didn't have possession, Isaiah Likely didn't have, but you get in the game and they're like, Aaron Rodgers had possession of this, he's down by contact, and you're like, so he catches the ball as he's fallen, and as he's fallen, before the ball is even brought back into his body, it's taken away from him, but that's a catch and he's down. But then we watch Isaiah Likely get 2.5 steps in, warding a defender off, and it's like, well, that's not a catch, even though one was a catch on the field and one was an interception. Like, that to me makes the whole catch scenario so confusing, because within the same game, we see two plays that are similar in the simple conversation of, is it a catch or not? Ruled differently on the field, and then overturned differently. It just doesn't make sense. And I think that's the hard thing as a fan, as somebody watching. You're like, wait, that's a catch? But Isaiah Likely, that's not a catch? It just doesn't make sense.
And let me put it as simply as I can. Back when the NFL hated gambling, the commissioner said that if you allow widespread legalized gambling, normal incidents of the game will become fodder for suspicion that the fix is in. I'm paraphrasing his words, but normal incidents of the game become something else. People think something's up. When you have two plays that have a common thread, application, interpretation of the catch rule, and replay review is overturning the rulings on the field in defiance of the clear and obvious standard, with ultimate interpretations and applications that were articulated in the pool report after the game that were just wrong. There were 3 items addressed in the pool report. Those 2 catches, and the Travis Jones play. I would submit to you that the pool report on all 3 points is erroneous. It puts bad information into the atmosphere as to how these rules are applied. That's not good for anybody. And let me just close the loop on something we were discussing earlier, and I love the rule book because, again, this is like law nerd stuff. Like, this is what I did all day. You look at statutes and you try to interpret them and understand them. As Jerry Seinfeld said, lawyers are the folks who read the instructions on the inside of the cover of a board game. Like that this is how the rules work, right? This is how life works. The Jalen Hurts, remember what we were saying about Jalen Hurts? Like, how did Jalen Hurts have it long enough if Isaiah Likely didn't have it long enough? Remember that? It's the same rule for possession of a loose ball. It's the same rule. You got to have possession. You got to have 2 feet or another body part down other than your hands. And you have to perform an act common to the game. Extend the ball forward, take an additional step, tuck the ball away, turn upfield, avoid or ward off an opponent. And look, I mean, we saw Hurts kind of quickly start to turn, but he had the ball like that. Isaiah Likely had it longer than that. And so, might be another post coming at PFT later today. All right. Bottom line, they got to get this cleaned up. It's going to blow up in their faces. Yeah, just take it away. I don't think the Elias Sports Bureau is going to take it away. But yeah, again, if we're going to have consistency, you can't have one rule apply in one game, Devin, and a different rule apply in another game. Everybody, coaches, teams, players, fans, people who are giving their money to the sports books that are giving a lot of money to the NFL, all these people need to know it's going to be the same all the time. And that's one thing that's clear. The consistency is lacking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know we got to move on, but it's all about consistency. How a game's officiated, how you call pass interference, that's all we used to talk about every week. Let's pay attention to how the game's being officiated, and then all we can ask from the officials is just to be consistent. And I think that's even more important when you talk about replay assists or reviewing plays back at the league office. Just be consistent.
And, people ask from time to time, why do you care so much about it? Because somebody has to. Because they have no oversight. They have no accountability. They wait for the next bright, shiny object in the form of Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. We got goldfish brains, and we forget about it, and we move on to something else. All right, we're going to move on to something else, but we're not going to forget about it. It's T-shirt and hat season, because we're getting closer and closer to divisions being clinched. Devin's old team. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.